it's a ripple. Here comes a tsunami. When all those people age out, they no longer pay payroll taxes. They're not earning. Also, their spending goes down, so their sales taxes go down. The big 4,800 square foot houses with the five levels and the 3 staircases, their knees won't take it. So they get little small houses. Right? And so the property taxes go down. So what's the trend? Fiscal taxes are going to go down and down and down and down and down. Now what does that mean to black folk? All right, as my professor at Morehouse used to say, you had me talking about my little house. All right. What does that mean for black folk? It means that as this population ages, not only will there be less money, they will be more conservative, so there will be less will, and they will be a powerful voting bloc. That holds tremendous implications for social service programs, which is why we don't want to have anything to do with them, okay? So what do we have to do to move beyond this? There are 3 things that we're trying to practice this. First, availability. Ensure that there is a workforce with the skills necessary to fill the jobs that the businesses have, so that these people, as they become a more dominant players in the economy, have the skills to step into the jobs. That sounds simple. This begins at a very early age. And so, you know, I used to be on the school board, and they still have the same arguments they had when I was on the board from 1996 to 2000. Let's change the game. Right here, on the front page of the inside, we're talking about preparing people for high-tech jobs. All of us in the room have the responsibility, I said the responsibility, to pick this up, find a 3rd grader, and teach them these concepts, okay? 3rd grade geometry. That's what's on the MCA, because we don't need to show up 3 months from now whining and pointing fingers at the school board and the unions and the superintendent. This is what they've been doing for 20 years. This is what they do. What are we to do, and how can you join us? We're not asking for permission. We're asking you to join us in preparing our children for these high-tech jobs, and it begins with very simple concepts very early on. The next thing has to do with attitudes. Availability, attitudes. Attitudes. The attitudes of Minnesota toward African Americans, I heard my white CFO say, is that of silent rage. That they'll sit there and just look at you and say nothing, but in the meantime, we don't look very different from Mississippi. So we might as well be at the bottom of the Delta and the facts speak for themselves. Attitudes are off the chain in the state of Minnesota, and it will require leadership about, I hear people talk about the collaborative. But everybody knows I protested against Tom Sorrell, and we protested on job sites. But now we sit at the table and we work to get things done. So we have to move from adversarial relationships to real collaborative, and I don't mean keeping me talking. You'll have a deadline and a timeline, because if you don't, we're going to bring the firepower in. So attitudes have to be adjusted if we're going to make a change. The 3rd thing, Governor, is accountability. Now, I had an experience last week just blew my mind. We go over to testify, I'm sitting next to the commissioner, and they're talking about, you know, cutting his department to ribbons. You go to the next slide. Go to the final one with the recommendations on it, so I can get out. Right there. Boom, right there. All right, it's what everybody else said. Check this out. The Minnesota Department of Human Rights is absolutely necessary. All right? There's a company in town called Walsh. Walsh Construction got a $200 million gig on light rail. Howard, Minnesota beat them over the head for 6 months. They wouldn't produce the projections that we needed in order to figure out could we get folks on that job. Minnesota Department of Human Rights called them in, mailed them out, and in 2 weeks we had hard copies. That's a fact. That's leadership. How about that? All right? We can now afford to lose that institution, and we got empowered, which means that if they're talking about cutting that budget, we got to show up and bring the heat. I really want to stress that point. Here we talk about projections. This is a very technical thing. If you're going to do a job, you know how much materials, labor, so you know how many minorities you need, put it on the table. And MnSCU should do this, bonding projects should do this, the Met Council should do it with all of their water treatment facilities, etc. It's not just MnDOT, the city of Minneapolis, or Hennepin County. This is an imperative for leadership. The rest you see other folks talk about. Next slide. These are some of the other things. I spoke to a wide range of people. They made these recommendations to bring forward. We have hard copies. We can get them to you. The main thing we want to stress is that we will have no changes if there is not an adjustment in the availability of people. And you heard about the investment in the urban training centers. the attitudes, we have to take them on. We cannot be afraid of tension. And you have shown that, and I admire the courage. So we got to be willing to fight and then sit down and work it out with folks. And then finally, accountability. If you take government money, and I remind these folks this all the time, I pay a lot of taxes. If you take my money and you sign a contract with the state of Minnesota, no department head, no bureaucrat has the right to let you slide and not hire the people that you said you would hire. You are not doing me a favor, and I will drive you out of business if I have to. I don't want to do that kind of stuff. But I'm coming to the governor today to say, we're your friends, we want to get there, and I do want to thank Representative Champion, Reverend McAfee, and Jeff Hayden, and the governor for having the foresight, pull this type of thing together so we can understand how to go forward in a real way. Thank you so very much.